Hello and welcome back. It is Friday, March 5th, 2021. It is our 8th week of creating a studio together. You can see I'm not in my home studio today. I'm here in my art therapy practice. So, like life, it's always changing. And so this was not the plan to be here in my art therapy practice today, but here I am. And it gives me a great opportunity to talk about what we're going to talk about this week. So today is a time of reflecting on what have we learned through this creative process of creating our studios together. Well, I don't know what you've learned out there. I hope something about yourself and about your time with yourself and the space that you want in your life to be creative. For me, I've learned that I can make the time, I can be creative, and if I don't get started, it's never going to happen. So first I have to imagine it, and then I have to make it happen. So this process for the last 8 weeks, 9 weeks, it's been about finding the motivation and the drive to make a studio happen. And when a studio happens, then all of those other things start to fall in place, like feeling better about myself because I'm doing something that I love, and making time for myself because I'm making more art in my space. And what I've also found is that sometimes I'm not even working in that space, but I can move out of that space, see my space, go back to it, get my supplies, and then go to it and work in the light again. So I hope that you found some of those things as well. I've also found that people are incredibly creative here at Oakwood. I knew that before. But through this process, I've heard more and more people sharing with me how they're creative, whether it's writing letters or which is often a lost art form and one that I so greatly appreciate, to writing in a journal every day, to acting, to starring in a play, to working collaboratively over Zoom to make things happen here at Oakwood, to visual artists, to 3D artists, to artists waiting for someone to come along and help them make art and be creative, whether it's through clay or through sculpture or through some kind of 2D design. So many creative people are here, and more creative people are getting on board and making art. So today, as we reflect on what has this space brought us, what has this time encouraged us to do, have we created that space in our life? Have we gone back to our space? How have we been creative? And how do we stay in that creativity? I talked last week about having a really tough week. I'm having another one this week. And the days are getting longer and brighter and warmer. And still, I'm kind of stuck and my energy isn't quite there. And so I know that I need to make some changes and add some more things into my life. And maybe you're finding the same thing is happening for you. So I'm going to challenge us this week. It's going to be a 7-day art challenge. 7 pieces of art from now until next Friday, which is March 12th. We're going to make 7 pieces of art. And if you can make 7 pieces of art, 1 piece of art each day, I know you can do it a lot more as well, and you can keep on going. So it doesn't have to be big art. It can be big art. It can be tiny art. It can be medium-sized art. It can be sculpture. It can be writing. It can be a letter, whatever it is. But here's the key. It has to be for you. This is all about you. It's about your process, getting it out. So if you're writing, the writing has to be for you. If you're making art, it's got to be for you. And I know some of us, we like to make art for others. We like to write for others. We like to do that as a gift. But I want to encourage you to do this for yourself. Instead of making something for someone else, what would you make for yourself? What image is just dying to come out? What images are crossing your mind? What's coming from your dreams at night? What kind of imagery is there? It's so rich sometimes in our dreams. Sometimes I can't remember them at all, and other times those dreams are so vivid. Or maybe I can go back to one from 20 years ago that really stands out. Whatever it is, make that art for you. So I'm going to show you 7 pieces of my art, and I'm just going to grab whatever in front of me. It's just random pieces that I pulled together. So here's one piece. This is made with water in a pan, and on top of the water is dropped ink. And so I've dropped blue ink and black ink, and it does amazing things on top of that water. So here is this. I dropped the paper into the ink and picked up what was left. It didn't look like this when I printed it into that moving liquidy ink, but then in the end, when it dries, here's what I ended up with. Very random and exciting piece, I believe. Another one, watercolor trees, tiny. These are tiny. They're no bigger than 4 or 5 inches in size. And I'm going to have a little portfolio of imagery here. I love to make little tiny pieces because I don't have a lot of space in my life for more huge pieces. And I made a lot of big pieces. So tiny pieces. Here's a little drawing, a little quirky drawing of a character done on some kind of a watercolor paper, something with a tooth in it, and then just done in regular, probably a 2B pencil. Here, I like to work on black paper. So here is gel ink roller pens, and they are so metallic, and I like to just doodle. So another fun thing, working on black. Another image in black. I love to use oil pastels on black. My favorite oil pastels are Portfolio, and they are really soft and smooth, and they are really rich, and they can also be used as watercolor. So this is a little octopus that I made. Octopus, not octopi. Love to make armadillos. So here's a watercolor painting. I taped it to get that nice clean edge around the paper with painter's tape. However, I was working in our sketchbooks that I gave many of us. So just those very inexpensive, relatively inexpensive sketchbooks with just probably a recycled paper. And so recycled paper and watercolor don't really mix too good. So not the best paper for watercolor, but I love that it still gave me some really rich colors. And again, this is I think it's an 8.5 by 5. It's tiny. And you can see I've collaged all over it, drawn and collaged. And just a fun way to keep my art right in one place. When my daughters get a hold of a book like this, a blank book with this many pages, this book has 50 pages in it, they fill the entire thing front and back with all of these amazing drawings. And you don't dare mention anything to them, because if you do, you're likely not to see the book again because they get embarrassed about it that you're looking. But I tell you, they're so creative, and I just want to peek inside to see what story are they telling today through their art making. It's pretty amazing. There's another one made with those same oil pastels, and then I took a little tool. I think I might have had a nail, and I was scratching away and making those, so a bit of scratch art here, but had a lot of fun making this character. And I think he looks a little futuristic, maybe like a robot from another land, and he's got a heart right here. And I just like that to me, he's really colorful and happy, and I liked making him. So that was, I believe, 7 images. 7 images. That's what you are going to be doing. I wanted to share one more piece of art, and I also want to share those art supplies that I talked about. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to grab them. I'll be right back. Okay, so I love to think really creatively about art supplies. So if you ever were a bingo player, these are bingo markers. They sell them today as art supplies. This one is called Dab and Fever. They are a bingo marker, and they work really great in making some cool repetitive art. And I'm going to just use them real quick on this little sheet of paper I have here. So you can see, so on white paper, that can be really fun. So quick idea there. These are those Portfolio series oil pastels that are my favorite. They're really creamy and rich, and they're water soluble, so they can also be used a little bit as a watercolor. So once you've colored, used them, smeared them, then you can take a brush and paint over them. I've never had any success with that, so I strictly use them as drawing material, as oil pastel, but you might find that you're really successful with changing it into watercolor. And then I have these really fun slick sticks, Crayola slick sticks, and they are even smoother than those oil pastels, and they're almost like a lipstick. They're so smooth and go on so smooth, and so they can be lots of fun. Really fast drawing, and really, really rich. I also like to use cattle markers. If any of you grew up on a farm, you or your parents might have used a cattle marker, which is like a big oil pastel, huge, thick oil pastel. I've got a bunch of them over in the drawer, but I won't get them out right now. And you write on a cow with it. It eventually wears away, so it doesn't hurt the animal at all. And you write a letter on that animal, so when a cow has, is expecting, when a cow is freshened, when a cow, is now being milked, you might put a letter on it to let you know which cow is which cow, and so that you, as the farmer, recognize, oh, okay, that's the cow that we've been looking for. That's the cow that's we're milking again. So those are really fun to work with. I work with those on brown sheets of paper, often just a brown paper bag. So cattle markers now if you buy them from an art store, they're called oil sticks, and they're about $10 to $15 per stick. If you buy them at Farm and Fleet, they're about 79 cents to $1.89. Haven't bought them in a long time, but they're about that price still. And they cake over a little bit with a hard crusty surface, and then I take that crusty surface off, and underneath they are wonderful to use. They work great in therapy because you work really fast with them, really big, and they're just like a really wonderful, really smooth, silky oil pastel. More silky or smooth than any oil pastel you'll ever work with. Okay, then the other art piece I want to show you really quick. I like this idea of an old-time peep show. So this box has a little peephole here, and inside it, I've created a peep show. And so there are layers in it, and then there's this woman. She's taken from a Halloween art piece I have, and I photocopied her, and I've added some detail to her, and she stands in here, and then as you look, you see more and more and more detail when it's all lit up with tea lights. There's a moon hanging from a tree in there. So I really encourage you this week to get really creative with your process, whether it's writing, whether it's acting, dancing, singing, creating, drawing, whatever it is. Let yourself go. Let freedom happen. If you need some ideas, I've got a couple here from Start Where You Are, from Miralee Patel. So this one quote is by Oscar Wilde, and it says, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." And a suggestion is, draw a portrait of yourself using colors and patterns that reflect who you are. Draw a portrait of yourself using colors and patterns that reflect who you are. Here's another one. You're going to trace your hand in this one. And the quote over here with this beautiful watercolor painting says, "It is not down on any map. True places never are." And that's Herman Melville. So in this one, you are going to fill in the hand to create your own life's map. Draw your hand, trace your hand, and draw your true life's map. Where is life taking you? Where is life taking you now? Where are you going? What is that journey that still awaits? And then here's another one, this last one for the day. If you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave. I love that. We don't give our permission to just find a new story. That's by Mo Willems, one of my favorite children's book artists. He writes the pigeon stories. What is something you wish you could leave behind? What is something you wish you could leave behind? Well, I've got some things I'd like to leave behind. So I'm going to think about those. I'm going to think about my creativity, and I'm going to encourage you as well. I'll see you back here next week. Have a great week.